What's going on, golfers? In this video, I'm going to go over some tips and tricks to help you solve your low back pain with golf. Even if you aren't having low back pain with golf, these tips and tricks will make sure that you reduce your likelihood of ever experiencing low back pain during a round of golf. Make sure you check this video out. What's going on, everyone? Joe Orbacheski here, a licensed physical therapist and certified strength and conditioning specialist who specializes in helping golfers get out of pain, improve their mobility, and increase their strength so that they can play the best golf of their lives. Before we get started into this video, if you haven't done so already, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. That will make sure that you get any notifications to when more videos are going to come out that are only going to help you feel better and play better golf. Also, make sure that you give this video a thumbs up. That will just also help more golfers see this video so that they can play the best golf of their lives as well. So, there are a multitude of reasons as to why you may be experiencing low back pain. There are two very common swing characteristics that are highly correlated with low back pain in golfers. If you haven't seen that video, I'll link it up above. You can go ahead and check that video out right now or after you're done watching this video. But that may be helpful to help you see if you are exhibiting any of those two swing characteristics, to see what you can do to improve your mobility as well as stability in the golf swing to make sure that you do not experience those swing characteristics. One of the most, or two of the most common things that I see in golfers that experience low back pain is that they have limited mobility, particularly of the mid-back and the hips. If we think about our body, we really need to rotate around our hips and our mid-back. A lot of times if we lack mobility in either of those two areas, our low back or an area that's close to those areas is going to take up for any lack of mobility. Typically though, that is the low back. And so what happens is because we're utilizing our low back and not our hips and or our mid-back like we should be, the low back starts to take the brunt of the cause and usually is where the pain starts to present. However, just because where the pain is presenting in our low back does not necessarily mean that is the cause or the source of the pain. The real source of the problem is either your hip mobility is lacking and or your mid-back mobility is lacking. And again, your low back is starting to take the brunt of that because your body's going to do what you're asking it to do. And regardless of how much mobility you do or don't have, you're asking it to get into these awkward positions in the golf swing, and it's going to do that regardless if you have the right mobility or not. So first off, to see if you have enough mobility in your hips and your mid-back, check out this video I made up above. I'll link that now that you can go ahead and see if you have enough mobility in your mid-back and your hips. That way you're not wasting your time doing drills that you don't need to be doing. So let's go ahead and get into some tips and tricks that will work on your hip mobility, mid-back mobility, and last but not least, I'm going to throw in some core drills as well, because even though we do not want to be rotating through our low back, we need to stabilize and keep that very stable. So the low back still has to work, including that core, and if that's not working very well either, you could also be experiencing some low back pain. So let's get into some of these tips and tricks that will help you improve all three of those areas. All right, so to get started with, we're going to do a couple of drills for our hips. The first one is just going to be working into hip internal rotation, as that's typically limited. Okay, so all you have to do is sit down on the ground, or if you can't sit down on the ground and you can't get up, you can go ahead and just sit on your bed. It's totally fine. We're just going to be in this kind of crab sitting position. So sitting on our butts, our hands are back behind us, supported. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take one leg and we're going to work it, kind of bring our inside of the knee down towards the ground and towards the middle of our body. Main thing to really think about though with this drill is I want to make sure that you pull your foot up towards you and maintain that, because that's going to help lock out the knee. If we don't do that and we just do this in and out, it's going to put a little extra torque on the knee, and we don't want to have a knee problem on top of a hip mobility issue, okay? So make sure that you're pulling your toes up towards your face throughout the drill and just working that knee down towards the ground. You can play around with how much you bend your knee to get a little bit more mobility. Again, go ahead, just do this. You want to do this maybe 10 to 30 times on each side. The main thing is you want to make sure that you do not have any pain, especially sharp stabbing pain in the front of your hip or the groin. If you do, definitely do not work into that motion and definitely stop short of that mobility, okay? You want to do this on both sides. Then after this drill, we're going to perform an active mobility drill to help work into that new range, okay? So I'm going to work a little bit onto this left side here, and then I'm going to go ahead and lie down on my back. I'm going to show you from the side and then from face-on view as well. So you're going to lie down on your back. You can use a foam roller. You can just use both of your hands. Make some fists. You're going to bring your knees up to straight up and down, so your thighs are perpendicular to the floor. Put your hands and fists together. Put them in between your knees, and you're going to squeeze your knees as hard as you can together. And then you're going to rotate your ankles outward. Okay? So now we're working our hips actively into hip internal rotation. We're just rotating as far as we can. Let me show you from this angle. It'll be a little bit of a better view. We're rotating out as far as you can here, okay? Now, when you're performing that drill, you're going to feel some tension along the front and side of your hip. Those are the muscles that are working to help perform hip internal rotation. But again, if you're performing that motion and you experience any sharp stabbing pain, especially in the front of your hip or deep inside the groin, please make sure that you stop short of that motion and make sure that you go ahead and contact, you can either contact myself, let me know down below in the comments, or make sure that you contact your trusted healthcare provider, because that's something you want to go ahead and get looked at, and that can be worked on and improved upon with some hands-on techniques as well. Okay, so that's going to be first for the hip. Next, let's go ahead and get into some mid-back mobility. So real simple one again, I'm going to have you just lie down on the floor. Again, if you can't lie down on the floor, you can lie down on your bed, that's perfectly fine. We're going to just work on what I call open books. Okay, so we're going to get into a side lying position. You can do this on both sides, so just choose a side. You're going to lie on one side. You're going to take your top leg and bring your knee so it's about hip height, basically, okay? And we want to maintain that knee in contact with the ground as best as you can throughout the drill. And then from here, you're just going to have your hands together, and then you're going to take your top hand and rotate upwards as far as you can and back, and then you're going to come back down, okay? And it's basically called an open book because you just pretend like it's two book covers and you're opening the book, right? Now, we want to rotate as far as we can. Make sure that you're breathing throughout this drill. So as you're opening up, exhaling as best as you can, and then coming back together. Again, make sure that you maintain this knee down. If you have a hard time doing that, you can take this bottom hand and press that down into the ground to help maintain that mobility so you're not moving this knee. The reason why we're having this knee down to the ground is we're trying to lock out our lower back and our hips as best as we can and really just trying to get most of the motion through our mid-back. Okay? Again, go ahead, do that 10 to 20 times. You want to do that on each side. And then right after this drill, we want to reinforce some of that mobility as best as we can. So to follow up the open books, again, we want to perform some active movement, maybe with some resistance to help maintain that motion that we just worked on improving. So if you have a light to moderate resistance band, you can just attach one end to something relatively sturdy. This is attached to a kettlebell outside the frame probably that you can't see. We're going to take with our opposite hand, we're going to reach underneath our hand. We're going to be in this hands and knees position here, okay? You want to get so there's enough tension so that the band is rotating you one this way, okay? And then you're going to pull across towards your chest and then rotate upwards towards the ceiling like so. So we're just going to go ahead and perform this drill. We could do a couple of sets of 10 to 20 reps. Whatever feels good for you is going to be good, okay? Some really big things to think about here when performing this drill is that as you're rotating upward, that you're pulling with this back kind of side of your shoulder blade here. You really want to rotate that up towards the ceiling. And then with the hand that's down on the ground, that you're pushing down into the ground, that will also help you get some more rotation. So we're letting this band pull us closer towards here. We're going to get some rotation with this. Then we're going to pull across, pretty much stop at our chest, and then rotate up as far as we can, pushing down into the ground with this hand, and rotating back with this shoulder blade, okay? Now, like I said, you could do a couple of sets of 10 to 20 reps of this. Same thing as before. Make sure that you're breathing throughout this drill. And you can do this on both sides again. Then, to finish up, we're going to go ahead and work on some core drills to help you improve core stability. One really great way, again, is if you have a light to moderate resistance band, will help you kind of improve and activate your core while performing some of these drills. So again, I have another band that's attached up pretty high. Okay, you can lie down on your back. You're going to go ahead and take the band, bring it down so that your hands are still on the ground. By creating this tension with the band, you're going to automatically feel your core turn on. So that's going to help with some core activation. And then with our knees bent up just comfortably, we're just going to do a bridge, okay? So making sure that we're using our glutes and our buttocks to help really squeeze and force our hips upwards towards the ceiling while maintaining tension on this band. You should feel that your core is engaged as you're lifting. You should really feel like your glutes are squeezing, helping you raise your hips towards the ceiling. With this, again, 2 to 3 sets of 10 to 15 reps is a great way to start. If this gets really easy, a modification that you can make is still maintaining this tension, straightening out one leg, and then doing a single leg bridge, okay? This is a great drill as well. Again, you should really feel the core and your glute on the side that the leg is down on. And that's a great way to work the core. Another great way to work the core with some band assistance here is going to be doing, creating some tension with the band, coming up to here. So I'm not going to go all the way down to the ground. My hands are up. I'm going to bring my knees up, okay? I should feel like my core is engaged, and you do not want to lose this natural curve that you have of your low back. So as you're doing this drill, make sure that you're maintaining that, okay? So my core is engaged, my knees are straight up and down, and then we're just going to go ahead, if we can, and tap our heel while straightening our leg, okay? Just like this. The main thing here to think about, though, is that you're maintaining the curve of this low back. It's very common if you do not have enough strength for you to kind of really arch your low back. So you want to make sure that you're maintaining that as we're doing this. And you should really feel like your core is engaged throughout the drill. Again, as always with these drills, make sure that you're breathing and not holding your breath. That will just make everything 10 times easier, okay? So those are some of the drills that you can do to improve your hip mobility, improve your mid-back mobility, as well as improve some core stability with some assistance from a band that can be really helpful in improving the ability for you to improve those the core stability and perform those drills. If you have any questions or comments about any of those drills or need some other suggestions, just shoot a comment down below. I'd be more than happy to reply and help you out with any of the drills, or if you have questions about those drills, I would definitely get back to you for sure to help make sure that you can perform those drills safely and appropriately. All right, golfers, those are my tips and tricks to help solve your low back pain. And again, if you don't even have low back pain, those are going to be helpful to make sure that you do not experience any low back pain on or off the golf course. If you haven't done so already, please go down and hit that subscribe button. Also hit that thumbs up button if you liked it. And last but not least, if this video resonated with you or you thought it was helpful, please go ahead and let me know down below in the comments, and go ahead and share this video via email with some friends and family, or share it on your social media. Either one of those would be great. I'm just trying to help as many golfers as possible.